There is a path, but one cannot walk it. Franz Kafka Diaries. Hello, my name is Timothy, and today we're talking about Kafka. Kafka is often read as a profoundly pessimistic writer, a prophet of despair, a chronicler of hopelessness, a man who believed the world had been corrupted from the very moment humanity appeared. His works are frequently associated with anxiety, guilt, and the crushing weight of impersonal systems. This question becomes interesting especially when we consider how Kafka himself perceived his work. According to Max Brod, his close friend and biographer, Kafka often laughed while reading his texts aloud. He didn't experience them as purely dark or hopeless. There was something comic, even absurdly funny, in what he was describing. Franz Kafka was a German language writer from Prague, Jewish by origin, Austrian subject, writing in German in a Czech city. From the very beginning, his identity existed in a state of tension between cultures, languages, and social worlds. This sense of not belonging anywhere deeply shaped his writing. By profession, Kafka worked as an official in an insurance office. His everyday life was filled with reports, regulations, bureaucratic procedures, and faceless administrative structures. This wasn't merely background of his biography. It was the very material out of which his literary universe later emerged. Kafka wrote about fear, guilt, loneliness, and the individual confronted with an incomprehensible system. During his lifetime, he was almost unknown as a writer. He famously asked that all his unpublished manuscripts be destroyed after his death. Yet, against his wishes, they survived. And today his name has become an adjective. The term Kafkaesque now describes the world. Their rules exist, but their logic remains inaccessible. Vladimir Nabokov famously called the Metamorphosis a brilliantly constructed piece of black comedy. This description may seem counterintuitive at first. After all, the story begins with a man taking up transformed in a gigantic insect. As Gregor Zamza awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect. Yet Gregor Zamza's first reaction is not horror. He does not question the meaning of his transformation or the injustice of his fate. Instead, he worries about work, about being late, about missing the train, about failing his obligations. This is where Kafka's peculiar comedy emerges. The world collapses and the individual worries about office hours. Gregor's entire existence is structured around usefulness. He is the sole breadwinner of his family, and his value is defined exclusively by his ability to perform his role. If it weren't for my parents and my sister, I'd have quit long ago. Gradually, it became clear that his family expects nothing from him beyond this function. His emotional presence is secondary. His humanity is conditional. When he can no longer work, he becomes a burden, especially to ones he once supported. We must try to get rid of it, says his sister. Gregor never truly thinks about himself. His greatest fear is not death, but becoming an obstacle. He was afraid of becoming a burden to them. In the end, he dies quietly. His death brings relief to his family. Life continues. The individual disappears. The system remains intact. If the Metamorphosis is a story about sentence imposed on a body, The Trial is a story about sentence imposed on consciousness. Joseph K. is arrested one morning without explanation. Someone must have been telling lies about Joseph K., for without having done anything wrong he was arrested one fine morning. He continues to live his ordinary life, but becomes entangled in a judicial process. Those rules and meaning remain forever inaccessible. He doesn't know the charge against him, and therefore cannot defend himself. The court is anonymous. The rules are unclear. Guilt is assumed from the very beginning. The proceedings do not seek guilt, they presuppose it. What makes the situation truly Kafkaesque is not the arrest itself, but the gradual internalization of the system. Joseph K. begins to accept its logic. He starts to think in its categories. He begins to believe in it. The system's greatest victory is not the verdict, but consent. From that moment on, the court no longer needs to act. The individual becomes his own judge and executioner. Kafka's heroes are not exceptional figures. We're not rebels or martyrs. We're not even tragic in a classical sense. They are above all normal. Kafka's hero exists in a world of total absurdity and accepts it. He does not revolt. He attempts to complete. His role is not to overcome the system, but to reveal it. Kafka's characters are guilty without guilt, condemned without trial, and erased without explanation. Their tragedy is not defeat. Their tragedy is that there was never an exit to begin with. This leads to the central question: what is the purpose of Kafka's critique? Is it meant to frighten the reader, to amuse them, to provoke philosophical reflection? Perhaps Kafka offers no answers and no solutions. His texts are no manuals for escape. They are precise, almost clinical descriptions of the world we are already inhabit. After reading Kafka, the number of questions only increases. And perhaps this is the greatest achievement, not to explain the absurd, but to prevent us from accepting it as normal, and to insist that we continue asking questions. Even then, no answers are forthcoming. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to ask the right questions.